Well guys, it's kind of a sad day today, so I hope you're sitting down, grab your tissue boxes, and let me tell you why it's time to say goodbye to my 2023 Mazda MX-5 Miata Club. If you're new here, I bought this car back in January. That's when I placed my order. And then it arrived from Japan, where these are created, they're assembled. That's the only place in the world. And it came the first week of March. Since then, hopefully you guys can see this, but I put over 12,000 miles on it because it's just so fun to drive. But especially because on the days that I have my day job doing physical therapy, I average about 75 miles round trip. So the miles rack up fast. But as much fun as this has been, and doing the few mods I've done to it, it's time to say goodbye to it. At least for a few months until winter's over. Right now it's actually pretty warm out, about 50 degrees, but we're hitting the 20s at night now. And where I drive super duper early in the morning, and inclement weather can strike at any time in this area of the country, between the mountains, the winds, the snow, the rain, all the things that we have going on. It's best that I don't drive this early in the morning without a spare tire, when there's deer on the highway roads like this, where I get most of its miles put on. And it's time to drive the outback wilderness for a while, because in the 8.5 months I've owned this car, I've only put about 3,000 miles on my outback wilderness, which previously was my daily driver. But this thing is so fun to drive. I've driven a bunch of supercharged V8 cars and fast EVs and a bunch of other stuff on my channel since owning this. And this still puts the biggest smile on my face. And it's still the funnest car I've driven. I have driven an NB and an NC Miata on my channel, and those are both phenomenal, especially at the price point where you can get those for, you know, single thousands of dollars or double digits in the low end for the NC. This ND2 is the funnest car I've driven, and it's economical. It's gone up to 47 miles per gallon before, which pays for its own insurance. But in my 12,000 miles, I don't have a single complaint, a single issue with this car. The cloth seats, they've held up really well. The Bose speakers sound phenomenal. You can actually have phone conversations at interstate speed. I mean, it's not pleasant, it's not the most convenient, but you can do it. The speaker quality coming through the back of the headrest is really good. Haven't had a single issue with the car so far. It's had one oil change. I rotated the tires at the same time I put the roll bar in, so a few thousand miles ago was the most recent one. And it's just been a blast to drive. It's easy to downshift. It accelerates fair. We do have probably about 4,000 feet of density altitude today, so this one is down on power, probably 12-13% right now. But the Miata's not about speed. It's about having fun. It's about driving with the top down, enjoying the blue sunrise, the blue sunsets, and all the colors in between. And just having a blast. Most driving experiences these days are numb and boring. Like all the EVs that don't have a soul that I've driven, although I'll probably never be in a faster car than the Tesla Model S Plaid I drove about a year ago. This car is just amusing, it's entertaining, it has a lot of personality, and Mazda did a phenomenal job with it. The ND3s have just been announced. There's only minor upgrades, such as a bigger screen and some exterior design changes. But I have no complaints with this one, and I can't imagine actually getting rid of this. It's just time to park it for the winter. You could put some winter tires on this, have a good time. It's gonna handle a lot better than most other cars, potentially even better than my all-wheel drive Super Outback Wilderness Turbo. But at the end of the day, it's not as safe of a vehicle. There's not as many things that can accommodate when something goes wrong, and having the bigger wagon for my daily driver, going between towns for work, doing therapy, that's just the better option. Being in a top safety pick plus rather than this 4-star crash test on the NCAP in the European testing, because this wasn't even tested in America. Which sometimes small, low volume vehicles, they fly under the radar and they don't have to be tested. It boggles my mind that Mazda only sells about they only sell about 10,000 of these a year in the United States, even though it's a global platform. And literally all the big car channels are telling people to drive one of these, to buy one of these. Engineering Explained just sold his on Cars and Bids and said that everyone at some point in their lifetime should drive one of these. Haggerty just did another video on theirs Motor Trend a few years ago. This was the second best pick for the best driver's car out of every car that they've tested that year. These are just fantastic. They're fun, they're quiet, they're convenient. They just give you a sense of purity in driving. The mechanical shifter feels fantastic. It's easy to brake rev, to downshift, to upshift, to have a good time. Even starting in first gear is really not that bad. I did notice the shifter started to loosen up a little bit in about 5,000 miles. But still, this thing with 12,000 miles, it's just getting started, and these any 2-liter high compression motors, they're fantastic, extremely reliable, extremely well proven, and they're just a blast to drive. The brakes work well, but you don't often have to get on them if you can downshift brake in time, although the 2-liter definitely does not slow you down like my last fun car, which was an LS-based car. But this thing, even with sub 7,000 shifts, it does really good. I don't think you can drive a modern Miata and not be happy, not be having a good time. With the heated seat on, maybe I'll even turn on the heat through the HVAC for a bit. But I've driven this a couple hundred miles on a length of a trip before, like a day trip. Top down, anything over about 45 degrees, I can deal with. I'm 5'11", I wouldn't want to be any taller driving this. And as much fun as I do think it would be to have some a dedicated winter tire on this for the next few months, it's just not going to happen this year. Maybe in the future. Although I do think that this is just a basic car. I'm not, you know, like when I first got it back in March, we were still having rain and snow every couple of days, and I wasn't really worried about driving it. But now that I've put some more miles on, I've worn down the tread a little bit on these somewhat performance tires. It's just not worth the risk of driving it in sub 40-degree temps where you're going to lose traction a little bit more easily. And we're driving through country like this all the time. There are deer. Every couple of weeks I'll see them crossing the road just ahead of me. I am really impressed with how bright these LED headlights are, and what's pretty cool is you can actually hear the fans going off to cool them down, just like a decent set of aftermarket LED headlights. So overall, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope the wind noise hasn't ruined it for you. I have so much fun driving this Miata. I filled it up just, let's see, 33 miles ago, and it's getting basically 34 miles per gallon currently. So not too bad. If I drove it a little bit more conservatively, I can actually get like upper 30s in town and upper 30s interstate speed going 80, which is what it is around this area. It just does really well, especially when you have to go around a corner quickly. Not too bad, Miata. If you guys haven't driven one of these, you absolutely need to. This is the funnest car that I've ever experienced. And I've driven a lot of 500, 600, 700 horsepower cars on my channel that you're welcome to check out. If you're liking this video so far, please consider liking it. I don't mean for it to be too much of a rant, just driving around talking to you guys, but it's fun. I know some of you guys like this POV experience of what it's like to drive a modern Miata. Getting to enjoy some pine trees, some hay bales, and maybe a few colors of fall which are coming and have already started coming depending on where we're at throughout the country. It's a really fun car. It's a really fun experience. It's one that I hope you guys can enjoy or drive at some point. There have literally been probably dozens of people on my other Miata videos on my channel at this point who have said that they finally drove one and now they can't get it off their mind that they need to find one, they need to buy one, which was literally what happened to me. I used to make fun of these cars all day long and then realized that this is the funnest car that I've ever driven. It's easy to turn around, getting back up to speed. rev out to about 7,500 RPM, which is pretty neat with this car. The 5-liter Coyote Mustangs, those rev pretty high, but most other V8s don't really rev past like 63, 6,400, even the current ones. Anyways, guys, if you like this video, please consider liking it. I'll do more Miata stuff in the future. I'm just thinking there probably won't be any more until the end of the year, starting in the new year, but maybe something will come up, we'll see. Otherwise, check out my other Miata videos if you want to see more on my car, on the build, which is slow and steady, doing it progressively. It has the racing tow straps, the Blackbird Fabworks roll bar, tinted windows, custom plate. It's pretty basic, not really touching the powertrain, because with this car I value reliability. I've had supercharged cars in the past. My LS car that I had most recently, I did full bolt-ons to. But this is just gonna be a reliable vehicle that I can drive and put hopefully a couple 100,000 miles on it. Anyways, guys, take care until the next one. I post a couple times a week if you want to subscribe. Otherwise, I wish you the best. See ya.